It doesn't matter what you do for a living. Standing out requires a high level of creativity, a healthy dose of ambition, and sheer grit. This is The Standouts, a show where we discuss, explore, and strategize what it takes to achieve the extraordinary. It's about finding your edge and learning how to leverage that for your own success. I'm your host, Aaron Grushow. Get ready to be inspired to blaze your own path. Today on The Standouts, a pioneer in the world of lending and mortgages. She's managed to accumulate millions of views on social media, grew an incredible community, and with that, a great personal brand. Margot Ettedgui, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, a true standout, you really are.
Thanks.
Would love to give our audience a little tidbit about who you are as a person, what you've done until now, a bit about your journey.
Yeah, so I started in the mortgage industry about 6-7 years ago or so. And social media wasn't really a thing 7 years ago, I think, for service providers and self-employed individuals to kind of create a personal brand. That really wasn't a place for that. It was very much more the traditional methods. And through networking and traveling in the beginning, I found myself to have a hard time to understand how I was going to constantly be able to network, constantly be able to build my pipeline without a proper marketing channel. Mm-hmm. And being a young female joining a space like mortgages, I don't want to say it was easy to stand out, but it was easy to find a different angle than the rest. I think the finance space is quite a traditional place, and I really watched a lot of the big real estate shows, real estate agents kind of take form into being like celebrities. This was at the beginning of $1 Million Listing.
Right.
And for me, I found that angle that I was I would love to be that. I would love to do that. But there was such a big competition in real estate. And I thought the only way that I would be able to work with those real estate agents and work with those clients and those properties was if I offered something like financing. I thought that the product money was such a easier product to sell than selling multi-million-dollar homes. So I wanted to kind of work that space first. And my first few transactions were very much young entrepreneurs, people that needed creative lending. And so that kind of sparked my niche and I guess creativity for the type of angle that I could take in my career. And I want to say, obviously the pandemic really accelerated all things content creation. Mm-hmm. And I had a really good thing going, in the first 5 years of my career with a really nice stability, then came in the pandemic. And that's when I had to kind of figure out, what am I going to do to make a difference, and really try to continue my business. All my business kind of stopped overnight, which was really interesting. Yeah. And social media was just a place that I was able to put the information and knowledge that was in my brain out on the platform and have people know that I'm an expert at what I do and kind of build that trust and relationship. So it really kind of just started in 2020, the content side. But I really just always kept that mentality of, look, I have nothing to lose, everything to gain, and let's just put stuff out there and see what works and adapt from there.
That's a great mentality to have, and it's clearly worked out.
Yeah.
I want to share something that's changing the game for agents. If you haven't heard about Sign More yet, listen up. Real estate has never been more 24/7. And with leads and clients calling around the clock, being available to capture every opportunity is core to growing your business. And trust me, you don't want to rely on voicemail. You want to show that you care, and the best way to do that is by having a real person answering your phone. That's where Sign More comes in. Day or night, your business is supported by property receptionists answering your calls, qualifying your leads, and scheduling your appointments. Along with 5-star service from real people, Sign More comes with a range of leading technology. This includes a mobile app, CRM integrations, live chat widget, appointment scheduling software, and my personal favorite, your own business number so you can keep your personal number private. As a sponsor of this podcast, I got a promo for all of you listening right now. Go to signmore.com/Aaron. That's signmore.com/Aaron, AARON, to get 30% off your first 3 months on Sign More's best value plan.
How would you describe your content to someone who's never seen a video of yours?
I would say it's the perfect combination of education and entertainment. and there's now been a phrase called edutainment.
Yeah.
So I would say it's kind of like edutainment style content. You know, when I started creating content, it was because of the pandemic, I felt like the concept of marketing fully changed. And even me as a consumer, when I would receive emails and marketing emails specifically, right? I was like, this is so boring. I feel like everyone's really trying to push and sell me.
Yeah.
And this was a time where really people didn't want to feel like they were being sold anything. They wanted an escape. They came to social media to like take a break for a little bit, right? And so for me, I was like, how do I make this fun for me to make? And fun for a consumer and or someone that wasn't expecting to learn about real estate or finance want to learn more. And again, because I always stuck with that first idea of making sure that I was having fun making it and viewing it, that's kind of how I really pushed on making sure that like it was fun, relatable, and easy to consume. I think would really be the best way to describe it. So I've gone, you know, from different things, whether it's a very famous audio in a song or an audio that people know well, phrases in movies that I like to recreate, whether that's Harry Potter or Jurassic Park. And I kind of bring something that's popular to the masses and something that's not like financing and try to blend that together to make it digestible.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you kind of touched on it, but don't be offended when I call mortgages a bit mundane.
It really is. I mean, yeah.
And yeah, I'm just like curious how you've been able to create these viral videos out of such a topic, and you kind of touched on it, you know, leveraging trends. How important have trends been in your success? Trends
have been, I think, 100% of my success. And I've always told people, and I did a lot of talks on this, whether it was Clubhouse or whether it was panels. I've spoken at, you know, digital mortgage conferences in Vegas and so on and so forth. And I've always said, in order to go viral, you have to think like a consumer.
Yeah.
And so for me, my success has always been because I have consumed 70% and created about 30%. That has always allowed me to stay on top of the newest trending audios, stay on top of what is viral and why certain things go viral. And a lot of why things go viral, and I'm sure you know this, is timing. Timing is everything. And so if you don't capitalize and leverage on trends in the moment when they are trending, then it's hard to kind of, you know, really let that take off. And such a mundane product like financing, you know, it really needed something that was super trendy to be able to like have the two click off together.
Right.
Because for me, even when I was just watching educational finance stuff, I was like, this is just boring. I don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
So that was for me the first thing, was like making sure that my content could really be appeased by the masses and have more people learn about it and not think that it's boring. Try to find a different angle to it.
Can you give us a bit of an example of how you've leveraged trends, maybe one of your more successful videos where you've done that?
Yeah, just recently, 2 weeks ago, I had a video hit 1 million views on Instagram, and I pretty much just took, again, it really is consuming. I am on TikTok. That's usually where I find the trends first. And when I see a viral video, I analyze every aspect about how that went viral. How many videos are on that audio, how many accounts have gone viral with it, how many different types of content has been used with that audio. So I do a lot of what I call trend research.
Yeah.
And then I quite literally sometimes recreate, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think, you know, when it comes to content, you have to be inspired by other creators.
Right.
So I think the best thing to do is to really look back at certain creators, how they went viral, recreate it, but put your own spin on it. So sometimes I would see like fitness creators go viral on a certain audio that I really liked. I liked how they filmed it. I liked the frame, the positioning, the characters, and I would just be able to see that and change it into a context that makes sense for my niche. I know maybe that sounds a little bit confusing to explain, but it could be as simple, you know, as finding, for example, like, you know, welcome to Jurassic World, and that just being like an investor seeing a property for the first time. It takes time for your brain to start to think in that kind of weird way, because it's difficult for me to explain that.
Yeah. Like you said, you kind of have to be a consumer first.
Exactly.
And really absorb it.
Exactly. The more you consume, the more you can understand how to put your touch on it. In the beginning, I was just consuming and just thinking, oh, these are great videos. These are fun videos. Now I'm very much more strategic with it.
Yeah.
I see a viral video, immediately I will send it to myself in a chat. And when it's time for me to create my content and batch content in an organized fashion, I look back at all those videos and I will quite literally try to recreate them. And I mean, you can try to say, oh, but you're just copying other creators. Well, not necessarily. We're being inspired by other creators, but we are putting our own context, our own niche, our own education onto that.
Yeah.
And I think it's for everyone to find their angle on how they want to do that.
So your content clearly speaks to people.
Yeah.
But mortgage lending, it's a pretty broad topic.
Yeah.
What specifically about mortgages do you discuss? What specific type of mortgages are you mostly involved in and working with?
So, again, when I was researching mortgages on social media, it was a lot of all the basic mortgages that everybody already knows, the first-time home buyers, people buying their regular homes. And
so
I was
saturated.
exactly. I was like, well, this is going to be saturated and it's going to get saturated quickly. And that's not what I specialize in my brokerage. So I really wanted to highlight what it is that we specialize, what has always made us unique. And so I thought maybe let me bring that to social media. That will help me stand out and be unique. And the type of mortgages that I do and I talk about on social media and allows me to go viral because of people not even knowing that those products exist are the non-traditional lending products that I do. So I really have always specialized with working with self-employed individuals and entrepreneurs who, let's face it, make a ton of deductions on their tax returns and don't necessarily qualify for as much as they would like to if they show their tax returns versus maybe showing business bank statements, personal bank statements. In some cases, I work with 80% of my pipeline are investors that because they're self-employed, because they're investors, because they're making so many deductions, they don't even want to show any sort of income documentation.
Gotcha.
They are buying real estate with the purpose of generating income. And a lot of the private lenders that I work with really will base the qualification off of the income of the property that it will generate. Over the last few years, I feel like because I have started to create content on that, a lot of other brokers started to figure out, she's going viral talking about no income documentation loans. We're going to do the same. Cool, well done. That has now gotten a little saturated.
Yeah.
So I, again, have always been on the forefront for speaking to lenders all the time, making sure that I have the most unique lending products for investors, for foreigners, for young entrepreneurs. And again, my first client was a Disney child actor, okay? And that's how it's, and still to this day, I'm working with major movie directors around the world and celebrities that are just, they need creative type of financing, right? And so because I wanted to work with creatives, I thought I needed to really focus the type of creative lending that I do. And I really think that has kind of accelerated the success in the videos performing as well as they do, because it creates a lot of engagement. A lot of people asking questions, is that true? Wait, that sounds a lot like 2008. And then I get to educate them on the differences, so on and so forth. So I think that really is what makes my content, my type of mortgages unique, different, and allows it to pop off, as we say.
So if I'm, brand new to the space, I want to start creating content, how much time do you think I should be spending consuming versus just starting to create? Should I put more strategy into it, or should I just, get the first piece of content out there, or is it a balance?
I think that's a great question. I think in the beginning, you need to be consuming way more than creating. And there's nothing wrong with that. And again, it's because you have to be on top of what are the consumers wanting right now. Trends are very short-lived on the internet. And what went viral a month ago is not going to go viral anymore.
Exactly.
If you try to recreate that sometimes. It really is. And then once your brain starts to understand what goes viral, sounds, you're going to be able to detect those things faster. You will not have to consume as much and you'll be able to create more. But I think people, confused by, scrolling on social media versus trend researching and analyzing what goes viral. So you have to understand the distinction. You have to
be like an active watcher and
active watcher.
Really analyze.
That's exactly it.
No, that's all great. I'm curious how your actual business has changed and evolved since you became, such a well-known face in the content space.
It's funny, in the beginning, it was a lot more just direct consumer, so clients asking to be pre-approved, which I want to say a good 30% or 30 to 50% of the leads that I receive through social media are direct consumers. Which is great because these clients are coming already with a wanting to work with me, right? I didn't have to pay Zillow for leads.
Right.
I'm not having to cold call and convince them to work with me. They've seen all my videos. They want to work with me. They feel like they can trust me from what I've put out there on my digital resume, so to speak. So that's a really great way that has changed my business. But I want to say furthermore than that, which has really made the biggest effect, are the industry professionals that are on social media. I think people think in the beginning, I need to create content to get leads. But you have to think a little bit further than that too. Who can feed you leads? Who are industry professionals that are already kind of qualifying clients and have clients to already send you, right? So I think with social media, because of what we can do when you start to generate a lot of views, you have developers that start to reach out. You have real estate agents that need help getting views on their listings, right? And so on and so forth. And then you start to build a really nice sphere of influence that starts to feed you consistent leads. And that has been a huge change, as well as, of course, you know, the opportunities that we get, whether it's speaking at conferences, being put on shows and podcasts and stuff. It's opened a lot of doors, and it's a lot of organic marketing that you quite literally can't pay for and get the same type of results because it's just not as organic, it's not genuine.
Right.
So that has been a huge change in my business and has allowed me to really live very freely because, you know, if I don't feel like creating content or I feel like traveling or whatever the case is, there's always a consistent flow coming in because of the content that's out there on the internet.
Definitely.
So that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. You never know who's watching your content.
Exactly.
Like you truly never know. I've had celebrities. I've had you truly never know, and there's clearly an argument that platforms like TikTok are very young. You know, you're not in the face of your ideal clientele, but truly you never know. Like we met through social media.
We did.
I'm trying. Can you remind me exactly how it is that we met? I think it was on a live stream.
It was a live stream. So, you know, again, because I was consuming on TikTok, more so in the beginning, I landed on one of your TikTok lives. I saw you talking about real estate, and you know, I had obviously that mentality of the old school networking. So immediately, I didn't care if I had literally 99 followers to my name. I was like, "You're in real estate, I'm in mortgages. We're the same age. Let's just connect and do business." And I took that old school networking approach of, "Hey, let's connect offline. Let's make stuff happen." Within that same week, we got on a phone call. We really saw, okay, we have a lot of similarities and common interest. And then we kind of were able to form a group with other educational creators, and it kind of took off from there. But it all because I really was just consuming content and researching and found other people in my industry that I wanted to collaborate with. And there you were.
Lead generation, networking, brand exposure. So much, you know.
And collaboration, I feel like today is so important. Because, you know, just as important as it is to build your community and your followers, it's just as important to leverage on other followers and communities that have the same like-minded interests and want to, you know, combine. So I think the power of collaboration and content has really changed our industry as a whole over these last, I want to say, 3-4 years. Huge drastic change.
No, definitely. What does a day in your life look like? How are you balancing content with, you know, your mortgage business?
I like to be very organized when it comes to creating content because for me, my priority is, of course, my business. So I guess a typical day in my life would be I wake up, scroll on social media to see what's going on, what's hot, what's being trending right now, what kind of news I need to be on top of to maybe create on that. And I work with a lot of international clients as well as a lot of non-traditional, and we do pretty much nationwide at this point. So in the beginning, it's a lot of international calls, a lot of East Coast stuff, West Coast stuff, you know, it's all over the place. And really at night is where I'll kind of wind down and try to recreate whatever viral videos I watched and prepare all of my content, whether it's at night and on the weekends, so that everything is ready on all of my channels to be able to post pretty much on its own. Because it's the worst when you're in the middle of the day and you forgot to post and you have to be consistent in order to really hold that following. So like a typical day would really just be wake up, consume, I work out in the morning. That's kind of like a really key part of where I get a lot of my ideas. Kind of let everything out. I work extensively. For me, what I do is not a job. It is a full-blown lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, because I love that financial freedom of being able to work anywhere, travel anywhere, I have to be on 24/7. Right? Whether it's creating content on the weekend, it's always about mortgages. Whether it's talking to people, it's about mortgages, right? So I've just kind of absorbed it as my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Every day is extremely different. So that's why it's kind of hard to answer that. But because of that, I have totally taken that opportunity and created content on what a day in my life looks like, a week in my life, and I think it's important to do so people do know what it's like.
Yeah, I'm a bit jealous of your freedom to really travel and work on the road. You know, us real estate agents kind of have to be on the ground in the areas where we're selling. But you mentioned you have a lot of international clients. I'm curious how they feel about your content stuff. Are you building relationships with international clients from your content?
The English-speaking countries, yes. Naturally, the algorithms will hit, that does work.
Yeah.
You know, international clients, for me, whether you're international or a domestic client, you're going to want to work with me because of the person that I am. And that is very much content creator, young entrepreneur type of person.
Yeah.
So I typically do work with people that value that. You know what I mean? Because if they wanted to work with someone that was private and so on and so forth, they probably wouldn't want to work with me.
Gotcha.
You know? Unless, of course, I do have clients that have been in my network for many, many, many years and just don't care that I do content. But I'm very proud of what I do. And if a client doesn't want to work with me because of that, then that's fine, right?
Yeah.
I think every agent should really focus on the type of clients that want to work with them because of them, you know?
What type of challenges do you face in the content creator space? Or I'm sure you have peers in the lending world who see your content and maybe think it's kind of a weird route to take. Has that happened to you? Have people kind of looked down upon what you're doing?
Last week I was in New York. I was filming content with the Sirhan agents.
Okay.
And I was introduced by the agent that I was filming with to other agents in the office. And another agent who was of an older generation, so the more traditional type, right? When I was introduced to them and they said, oh, this is so-and-so, she's a mortgage broker, she has a very large community online, she's got over 350,000. The immediate reaction was, oh, that's impressive for a mortgage broker. I was like, oh, kind of a back-sided comment. It's something that I get quite often, like kind of looked at like, oh, okay, that's, I guess, for you, yeah, that's impressive. Which is kind of weird to me, that people just like don't understand that you can build a community with something so mundane like mortgages, I guess, right? And I was like, do I take that as a compliment or is that a backhanded comment? Wasn't too sure how to handle that one.
Yeah.
But I also feel like if they don't understand, like that's too bad for them.
Totally.
Because I have seen all the success that it's brought.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I'm so proud of what I do. So to me, it's kind of like, I get to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then as soon as they take a look at it, they're like, okay, like this is popping off. Like this is real stuff right here. So yeah, for me, it's almost, it gives me fuel, when they kind of are like, don't take it seriously or they think it's a joke. I mean, I literally tell them like, call me in 5 years, tell me how your business is doing and we'll compare our pipelines and then we'll talk. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I look at it. I'm very confident with what I do and I tune out all that noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, what you've done is truly a testament to what you can, create in the lending space and even untraditional worlds where you may not think there is content to be made. Like, there is content to be made.
There's always content to be made.
Yeah.
Everyone always has their own unique perspective. And you can create on that, you know what I mean? And there's different ways to create on that. There's podcasts, there's speak in front of the camera and teach you something. There's, act and sing. There's so many things and you can really infuse yourself. And that's how you really stand out, right? This is the standouts, right? When you infuse yourself and your personality into what you do and you really like embrace that and make it a lifestyle and leverage that, it's game over.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the future in content in sort of the mortgage industry and educational content in general? What's the future of that look like right now?
Right now, it's a great question. I see a lot of people obviously starting podcasts, trying to create longer form content. But I don't know that that's necessarily the immediate future, in the sense that people still very much have a very short attention span.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's getting shorter by the day.
Yeah. And when I try to, I analyze content unlike anything. I mean, I'm sure you've seen me do that, right?
Yes.
And so I analyze everything, and I still see and I still notice at the end of the day, the numbers are the numbers, and short form content, the shorter, the snappier, the funnier, the more entertaining, superior, like it performs of superior over everything else. Now, I do see that longer form content is allowing creators, service providers, whatever, to really kind of stretch on the knowledge that they've put out there, which is great. But I don't necessarily know where the future is going, because I feel like it's broadening up so much that it's difficult to pinpoint where it's going. What I can tell you is that, at least in my space, and for me, what has always worked is still really working. I've thought about creating longer form content. I have in the past. I didn't see it affect my business more. I saw it taking a lot more time. And for me, the thing that attracted me to content and attracted me to be able to be consistent with it is how easy and short and fun it was for me to make.
Yeah.
And for me, at least, if it takes too much time away from what we do as a professional, that's where things get a little bit dicey. So I don't know that long form content is necessarily the way.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I can fully answer that question, or if it's going to be used in this video. But
no, that was great. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if anyone knew exactly what the future was, like, I guess it wouldn't be called the future. Like I think you're onto something with short form.
Yeah. But
it's here to stay, for
everyone
sure.
is starting podcasts and YouTube channels these days. Do you
Well,
know what
I think
mean?
there's
nobody
ways
has
to
more
leverage.
Time, though, to watch it. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, there's ways to leverage the more longer form content by breaking it up, doing the whole content loop, which I think is what makes, longer form great. But I think, like you said, our attention spans are so short. They're getting shorter and shorter and shorter. So
I also think it depends what you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
Right? So I think, like, for example, for me, I would think if I start to do more and more and longer form content, which then takes away from what I do on a professional side, it could be as if I'm kind of like just becoming a content creator and not becoming any more like a business professional. So for me, I still need that balance, and I don't want to take away from it.
Yeah.
But there is a natural evolution, I guess, to content. That some people start with short form and then work their way to long form.
Yeah.
And that is incredible, but you have to be organized, and you have to be ready to understand that it's a totally different game.
Completely different.
Short form and long form, I mean, we're talking production, we're talking budget, we're talking cameras, we're talking lighting. And so it just depends what it is that you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I think as a professional, in the lending space, the real estate space, the barrier to entry with short form has been so beneficial. Because it does not take that much time to create a 15, 30-second video.
And time is so important for us.
Exactly.
Time is of the essence, time is money. And so that for me is too where I'm like, I still think for the professionals, the short form will be what's best.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I do think that maybe like podcast style content chopped into short form is really great as well.
Yeah.
So I do see that being very beneficial. Yeah.
Awesome. So you're clearly a standout. Who are some standouts that you've looked up to, that you admire, draw inspiration from, whether they're in your industry or completely other industry?
One of the first persons that I saw creating content about mortgages on TikTok, and that's kind of how I was like, oh, you can do that? That's interesting. His name was That Mortgage Guy, Scott Betley. And I've always been inspired by his content because it's exactly what I do. It's as soon as I saw it for the first time on my phone, I was like, that's exactly what I want to do.
Yeah.
And now we create similar content about mortgages, but completely different types of mortgages.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, oh my God, this is great because I can be inspired by how he's doing it, but I can take a completely different angle and approach on what I'm talking about. So that has been really great and inspiring for me to see. There are very few people, right, in that mortgage space that are doing that. I mean, I can't even name one other mortgage creator that I consistently follow, see, and am inspired by, unfortunately. And hopefully that will change, and that's something that I try to change by creating content about being a mortgage broker to inspire the younger generation to, if you're thinking real estate, maybe think mortgages first because like you said, you have more freedom. You don't have to physically be responsible of the emotional purchase of the house or this or that. It's all just, okay, you need the money, no problem. Well, I'm in Greece, but I will email you the wire and and it's done, So that's been really great. And in terms of other creators, I get inspired by a lot of lifestyle creators. I think what they do is very interesting because they take an approach on everyday life and create content.
And I see you implementing that style into your content today.
I find it to be, see the things that I like to watch, I try to use that as inspiration. So there are content creators, her name is Lauren Giraldo. She's a very big lifestyle YouTuber. I like watching her things. I think Graham Stephan is also doing some really incredible things in terms of longer form content. So I do keep my eye out on certain people that I really like to watch, and I try to translate that into my own version.
Do you have a favorite video or just a video that really stands out in your mind that you've created?
I think there are probably two videos. First one has to be my most viral, the first time I went viral, right? The first time I hit 1 million views overnight.
Yeah.
And it was the simplest video in the sense that I remember watching a creator's video and thinking that audio is really funny and that context is really funny. I like the audio, I like how he filmed it, I want to do that, but just talk about mortgages. And I quite literally remember the message being me teaching Gen Z about mortgages, super simple. And it went absolutely viral. And that's when I realized okay, there is a way for me to tap into the younger generation and help them be inspired by an industry that they would have never seen by using trending audios. So I think that's kind of where it clicked for me to really stick on that path. And then I think the second video that really stands out in my mind that really made a difference was my second most viral video after that one. I've had more viral videos after that, but I was able to collaborate with my dad, who's my mentor. I work with him. He's the CEO and I'm the general manager. And we created a video about reenacting what it was like in my mind when I made the decision to join the mortgage industry, from fashion to mortgages. And we used a scene from The Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay, I think I remember this one.
Yeah. When he's show me a pay stub for $72,000, I'll quit my job right now and I'll work for you. And it took off. It did 2 million, very quickly. And I was like, oh my God, this is really great. I can really collaborate with other people and tell stories. That's really where I was click. I can tell stories through other stories that I love, movies, and bring my Hollywood-esque director vibes into the mortgage industry, right? And that's when I was people really gravitate to it. They love it, right? And when you see that people like it, you want to create more of that, and that helps you understand the next direction that you need to take in your content. So for me, just really throwing out ideas, especially in the beginning. In the beginning, we were posting, 3 to 5 times a day, just to understand what time is best, what
Crazy
audios,
volume.
Everything, right? But that helped so much. That really helped allow me to get to a point where now I can create 1 video a month and still have the same results because I'm doing it with absolute precision and quality, rather than just throwing stuff and seeing what hits,
Yeah, but the quantity, doing the quantity created the quality.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And that's why I think in the beginning, you just can't be afraid.
Right.
You have to try everything within your niche. Don't get crazy. Don't try to spread too far out. And I remember it wasn't until I had about 100,000 followers that then I started creating like travel hack
Yeah.
and other things, right?
Yeah.
But I still tried to always tie it into what I did, right? So it was like travel hack, use a credit card and that can help you buy a house, you know what I mean? And try to like tie everything together. So that for me was like a really big click in my mind, was really just like capitalizing on that.
Do you use any tools to stay up to date with trends? I know there's some websites that, will show popular songs or trends. Do you like subscribe to that stuff, or is it really just, you focus on consuming?
Personally, I don't use any softwares. I don't like to trust technology on this kind of stuff because it also has to be what you like and what you're seeing in real time.
Yeah.
And for me, like there's just so many components that I like to look at that makes a video viral, right? Not just the sound. I want to see the sound. I want to look at all the accounts under that sound.
Yeah, what the associated videos are with that
right.
sound. Yeah.
And for me, it's not just about like trying to get the quick fix on trying to go viral. It's really understanding how the algorithm is thinking and trying to penetrate that and cracking the code, right? And so for me, TikTok is like the most direct, fastest way to get the fastest trends. That's really where I think the source of a lot of it comes from. And so for me, if you can think like the TikTok algorithm and outthink the TikTok algorithm, you crack a code, you'll find your way to like go viral every time you want to. And that's really only by looking at every single aspect as to why videos go viral, not just one aspect. It's very important.
How much time and effort goes into creating one of your videos? And I know you batch your content, you create a lot. Are you releasing everything that you make? Or are there some videos where you're like, I don't know if this one's gonna do well, we'll probably hold off?
If I make the effort to create the video, I'm posting that video.
Yeah.
Now, because I consume and then when I see something, I will send it to myself. Typically within the TikTok app, I'll have a direct message with myself.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Yeah.
Right. So, and then when it's time for me to create, usually it's on the weekend because I really like to not be rushed with my creative process, and I'll kind of break it down to which videos are going to take the longest for me to do, whether it's I'm having to act out a bunch of different characters, so I got to change outfits and scene cuts and this and that. And then there are much shorter ones. Some videos can take me an hour to make. Those are going to be, they're 30 seconds, maybe there's like 6 different scenes. I'm acting out 3 different characters, something like that. And then there are videos that quite literally I can get done in 15 seconds and edit it within another 5 minutes. And you know what I mean? So there's a variation of that. But for me, really being organized in creating on specific days and having them ready and having a really organized system for content is great. Recently, I've actually used Notion to keep myself more organized on what I'm creating, what I'm editing, what I'm posting, and having a basic content calendar allows me to like customize everything at my manner, not have to use all the different apps and options that are out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how I like to do it in an organized, batched way. Some take long, some take short. It just really depends the audio, right? Depends what we're filming. But anywhere between 15 seconds to an hour, So that's really why I like to do that on the weekend.
Considering a career in real estate, but need to do it based off of your schedule? Study at your own pace from a laptop, tablet, or even your smartphone. It truly does not get more convenient than this, and at such an affordable price. Just visit realestateu.com, that's you as in the letter u.com, and choose your state's licensing course. And be sure to use the discount code STANDOUTS at checkout for 20% off. Real Estate U offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can start taking your licensing course as soon as you sign up. So don't delay, head over to realestateu.com and use the discount code STANDOUTS. Make sure to share it with others eager to kickstart their real estate career so they can save 20% off as well.
Well, Margot, this has been awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Please let my listeners know where they can find you online or anywhere else.
If you're ever looking for my content, you can find me at The Real Queen Margot on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and anywhere else you consume social media.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This was awesome.
Of course, thanks for being here.
Yeah.